Whether it be Tarmogoyf Tribal or the second coming of Modern Jund in the EDH format, you can't deny that Disa the Restless is one of the most unique commanders to be printed in recent memory, really evoking some of the power of one of the most historically just relevant creatures in all of Magic the Gathering. Tarmogoyf, it really is a commander that encompasses the colors of Jund, some of the power it has in terms of cheating things out, 1-for-1 value, and just puts it over the top. It's a commander that really caught my attention, and I wanted to provide an upgrade guide for you. Someone who's picking up the Precon and may not want to upgrade the whole 99, but just wants to include some things for value or take it in a direction because you may not know the secret sauce that this deck is about. It's not just about Tarmogoyfs. There are some other combo aspects that you can include and some other creature types that you may actually be ignoring, including all creature types, but we're going to talk about that in a second. With a little bit of combo and a little bit of great value, I want to provide you these upgrades for Disa the Restless. And if this is the type of content you want to see moving forward in the channel, then leave a like on the video. Let me know what other commander upgrade you want to see from the channel, and of course, you gotta subscribe for more. Now let's talk about it from the commander's perspective. Disa the Restless is 2 black, green, and red for a 5/6 legendary creature human scout. Whenever a Lurgoy permanent card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, put it onto the battlefield. So you're obviously not getting triggers off of a creature dying from your battlefield, but they're returning if you discard them. They're returning if you mill them. So let's start getting those brain juices thinking. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a Tarmogoyf token. So you're going to get value from giving your creatures trample, flying, menace, like any type of evasion like this. You're going to get value off of that. So that's another thing you want to think about in terms of the enablers and the things that you want to put into your deck. You like a lot of Goyfs, you know, just looking at Tarmogoyf as a creature. I mean, this is a card that isn't even included in the deck list. It's going to be the first section I want to talk about here in terms of adding some Goyfs. Tarmogoyf doesn't have any type of evasion. So that's something that you want to think about in terms of an upgrade path. You know, some of the red effects that give all creatures trample or the green effects that do that. Tarmogoyf, I mean, just creating Tarmogoyf tokens and not including Tarmogoyf just feels like simply a money decision. If Tarmogoyf was to spike in the future, then this deck list would probably just spike as well. So I think they're doing this from an accessibility perspective. For Tarmogoyf, they didn't know what it would be worth at the time. And this is just honestly one of those like modern staples, you know, sometimes legacy staple type of thing in bug decks. But largely, if you're making Tarmogoyf tokens, include Tarmogoyf as well as another option for you to mill or discard and cheat out onto play. The next one is going to be Detritivore, red, and 2 for a star creature Lurgoyf. Detritivore's power and toughness are equal to the number of non-basic lands in your opponent's graveyard. You can suspend X where X can't be 0 for X, 3, and red. Whenever a time counter is removed from Detritivore while it's removed from your game, destroy target non-basic land. What I like about Detritivore is, like, yes, you can cheat it out, and it can just be like in lower power pods, a really low power Goyf. But if you can put it out for like a large X value, you could just start pinging out random problematic lands in higher power pods like Glacial Chasm or Field of the Dead. And the reason I bring those up is Glacial Chasm obviously preventing all combat damage, or something like Field of the Dead, which can then prevent you from actually getting damage in. A lot of these Goyfs, as I mentioned, don't have evasive abilities. So removing blockers is going to be the name of the game if you're cheating out a bunch of things. Obviously, you're going to have things like haste enablers, so these things can attack on the turn that they come down. But again, removing blockers is going to be so valuable to you because you're not going to have all these effect enablers. You're not always going to be able to put flying counters or trample counters or whatever it might be onto your Goyfs. So playing something like Detritivore to remove some of these problematic lands can be really powerful, but mostly for higher power pods. So let's include these type of Goyfs. Other than that, I think there's a lot of Goyfs that are already included in the deck list. And that's where I think we can go to step 2. Remember that Changeling is also an option for your deck list, and there's a lot of good Changelings out there. That's kind of going to be my next section here, where we can talk about Changeling outclass. Black for a 1/1 Changeling. This card is every creature type, so it is a Goyf. It is a Goyf in the graveyard. It is a Goyf in your hand. It is a Goyf on the battlefield. So you're going to get all types of value. Changeling outcast can't be blocked or can't block. So can't be blocked is going to be great because this is going to be a great 1-mana enabler, a way for you to just start creating Tarmogoyf tokens. Obviously, again, you need your Planeswalker out or your commander out. This is going to be a deck that, again, is very, very built around the commander. So you obviously want to be playing protection spells. You want to be playing ramp so you can cast your commander multiple times because people are going to want to destroy it. And so things like that, you want to be able to maximize the value. Once your commander is out for one turn, maximize that value with something like Changing Outcast, create your Tarmogoyf token, and take it from there. Next changeling that I want to bring up is Graveshifter. Black and 3 for a 2/2 creature shapeshifter that has changeling, any creature type. When Graveshifter enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, not all the creatures you're going to play are going to be Goyfs. There's going to be a lot of valuable creatures that exist in the Jund colors that you're going to want to return. And what I like about Graveshifter is that you can get Graveshifter out, you can discard it, cheat it out, and then automatically return something from your graveyard as well that isn't a Goyf either. Or maybe a Goyf that died, you can return that to the kind of to your hand, and then if you have another discard outlet, get it going from there as well. We're going to talk about some outlets that enable cards like this, but again, Graveshifter is going to be a fantastic way to take advantage of something like Disa. So again, we're just building up the creature base here. Next is going to be Mass Vandal, a Tarmogoyf that comes down, green and 1 for a 1/3. Whenever Mass Vandal enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature from your graveyard. If you do, exile target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. So a lot of times, if you have like a cheap Goyf that you don't really care to reanimate, you can exile it away and then exile an artifact or enchantment. This is very relevant in a world of the One Ring. If you're playing in higher power pods, the One Ring having indestructible and this being able to exile an artifact or enchantment an opponent controls is actually very relevant. So I really like Mass Vandal for that. Next up, finally, for the changelings that I want to bring up, green and 2 for Realm Walker, 2/3 changeling. As Realm Walker enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You're probably going to choose Goyf because that's going to hit your changelings and that's going to hit your other Goyfs as well. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of your library. So this is a great way to just, like soft card draw. This isn't really the colors for it. Obviously, you have tutoring in black and you have some card draw effects in green and you have impulse draw in red. So you have options there, but largely you want to make sure you can keep churning through your deck, keep drawing through, and then give yourself more options from stuff in your hand that you're going to discard, you're going to put into your graveyard, blah blah blah. Like stuff like this is going to be really useful just to use for extra mana if you don't have stuff in your hand, and to keep churning through your deck for cards that you don't really want to draw. You want to draw your card draw spells and you just want to cheat out your creatures. This is a great option for that. In the next section, I want to talk about graveyard enabling, remembering that Disa can put cards out from the graveyard if they were put in the graveyard other than from the battlefield, right? So if you mill them over, if you dredge them over, those are going to be some great ways for you to cheat out a bunch of Goyfs all out at the same time, a bunch of changelings all out at the same time. So the first card, very simple, Grizzly Salvage, green and black for an instant. So instant speed is really good. If you have a Disa out and your opponent goes to cast a removal spell, you can cast Grizzly Salvage in response, and then it says reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or a land card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. So this is a great way for you to just grab a land, put 4 creature cards into your graveyard, and then instantly bring them back if the Disa is out. Really, really, really powerful card. And then it says you may put a creature or land card from your graveyard into your hand. If you just mill over 5 Goyfs, you could choose not to. Put them all in your graveyard, immediately bring them back. It just instant speed reanimation with your Planeswalker out. This is going to be a great way to enable that. Next up is Golgari Grave Troll. Not again an example of a creature that isn't a Goyf, but very easily enables some of the shenanigans that you have going. So this is a card that you 100% want in your graveyard. You're going to dredge 6. Instead of like drawing a card, dredge 6 with your Disa out. This is going to reanimate like 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4+ creatures, depending on how dense your deck is, full of changelings and Goyfs. Golgari Grave Troll is just such a sweet enabler. And of course, if you have instant speed draw options, sorcery speed draw options, whatever it might be, you could dredge this multiple times with the Disa out and really reanimate like a whole graveyard, a whole deck worth of creatures out. Just right there. There's so many cards out there in red where you have to discard 1 card, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, draw 3 cards, stuff like that. And you can discard Goyfs from your hand, then have multiple dredge triggers off the Golgari Grave Troll or off of other dredge cards that you want to play, and constantly just keep reanimate. You can have huge swings with cards that just exist in a modern dredge deck, which is really, really powerful. Next up, in terms of graveyard enabling, I want to talk about Buried Alive. Buried Alive, just one of the, I guess, like first combo pieces that a lot of people were thinking about when it comes to Disa. Black and 2 for a sorcery, search your library for up to 3 creature cards, then shuffle, then put them in your graveyard and shuffle, right? Now, this is, in Legacy, now in Modern is a very simple combo piece for something like Arclight Phoenix And when it comes to something like this, you get Disa out, you know, especially with some of the changelings you have access to, this is a great way for you to grab like Mask Vandal, put it out, exile an enchantment, grab like another, like a Torian Mauler or something like that, or like a Tarmogoyf or anything, and just bring it out onto the battlefield with your commander out. Grab your specific changelings that do really fun things. Like you could bring in Chameleon Colossus, which has protection from black if you're playing against a specific color like that. Just so many options that you get access to. This is like a really unique tutor in this deck because it does step 1 and 2. Like Buried Alive does step 1 to put into your graveyard, and the commander does step 2. A lot of times Buried Alive, you'd require ability of a creature to bring it out or a reanimation spell to bring it out. You already have step 2 in the commander. Step 1 is Buried Alive. Very, very simple combo piece. Definitely an auto include unless you specifically want to make decisions against playing a card like this because you wanted to go a certain route in your deck building. That's fine. But other than that, if you just wanted to simply upgrade the deck, Buried Alive, very, very easy include in a deck like this because you don't get to just randomly put cards in your graveyard. You get to pick. So it's a tutor. In the next section, I want to talk about battles because really what it comes down to is I believe this deck doesn't actually have any battles whatsoever. And this is a recent card type that you want to add because especially for your Tarmogoyf tokens that you're going to be creating, which are going to have power and toughness equal to the amount of card types in your graveyard, you want to maximize on your card types in here. Now, I don't want to include too many battles. I think just having them as like 1 to 2 of in your deck is going to be really important just to have as types for your Tarmogoyf tokens. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of battles that don't really provide a lot of value, so you don't want to force them. But Invasion of Urgamon, green, red for a battle siege as a siege. So just for those of you that don't remember, let's read the reminder text here. As a siege enters, choose an opponent to protect it. So you give it to an opponent. You and others can attack it. So your opponents can attack it as well. When it's defeated, exile it and then cast it transform. So you get a flip side here. But on the front side, when Invasion of Urgamon enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Then you may discard a card if you do draw a card. So very simple. It essentially soft costs 1 because it enters the battlefield and creates a treasure token. So you immediately get a discount off of it, right? So it kind of just costs 1, you know, air quotes and everything. But then what happens is that Invasion of Urgamon then allows you to discard a card, which with your Planeswalker, with your commander out, you then get to discard a Goyf, cheat it out into play. If you do, you draw a card. So it's just, again, immediate crazy value. And then if you flip it over, you then get to cast Truga Cliffcharger, a creature rhino, 3/4. Whenever Truga Cliffcharger enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. So again, once you flip it, another great way to enable another changeling, another Goyf entering the battlefield. If you do, search your library for a land or a battle card, reveal it and put it in your hand and shuffle. This is going to be a great way to get like a land that you're looking for, some ramp, whatever it might be, or heck, a battle if you need to discard it. If you want to put another battle into your graveyard, because this is like the only battle, if you have it, like it's going to be flipped onto your field. It's not going to be in your graveyard. So if you wanted a way to get another battle to put in your graveyard to discard with something else that you have, this is another way to kind of get that, put that into the graveyard. And this could be the difference between your Tarmogoyf having 8-9 power toughness or 9-10 power toughness thanks to the battle. So Truga Cliffcharger, great in that aspect. The next battle that I think I would recommend including in this deck list is Invasion of Mercadia, red and 1 for a 4-life battle siege. When Invasion of Mercadia enters the battlefield, you may discard 2 cards if you do draw 2 cards. I mean, again, as I was mentioning, such an easy enabler in terms of what options it provides you with. Look, discarding a card, you're discarding a Goyf or a Changeling, immediately cheating it out, and then you draw 2 cards. If you have something like the Golgari Grave Troll out, you're, dredging more cards out and then milling those cards, reanimating them. Just something like Invasion of Mercadia. So much hyper synergy in here. And then when you flip it over, if you deal 4 damage and you flip it over, you get Chiron Flamewright, Creature Goblin, Spell Shaper, 3/3. You can pay red and 2 to discard a card. Again, enabling the cards that are in your hand, enabling the strategy. Create 2 1/1 blue and red elemental creature tokens. They get +1/+0 and gain haste until the end of turn. So creating some blockers, creating some ways to deal damage. Now, obviously, these aren't Lurgoyfs yet, which we're going to talk about with the card later. But it's a great way to just get some creatures out, get some pings out. If you have effects that when you deal damage to an opponent outside of your commander, if you have anything that deals damage, if it does any effect, then something like this is going to be a great way to create tokens. If you have sack outlets and you need to get rid of creatures, this is another great way to do that as well. All in all, front and back, both battles just enabling the commander. Again, a deck that really does revolve around the commander. So you need to play the ramp, play the protection outside of some of these cards that I'm already mentioning. In the next section, I want to talk about 2 Planeswalkers that I think are very easy includes. There's 3 Planeswalkers in this deck off the rip. I think some of them are pretty replaceable. So I think the first one, very simple, Liliana the Veil. You know, as a Jund player, if you're playing this commander, you're probably playing Liliana the Veil. You probably have a copy of this black 1 for a 3 loyalty legendary Planeswalker Liliana +1. Each player discards a card. Your opponents are going downs on cards, whereas you're discarding a card and, you know, kind of cheating out a Changeling, a Goyf, easy. Target player sacrifices a creature. This is a great way to kind of deal with Voltron commanders that don't have, Voltron players that may not have the hexproof or the shroud or the protection just yet. And then -6 if you can get there. Separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. That player sacrifice all permanents in the pile of their choice. So this is a great way to just be like, here's your lands, here's your permanents on one side, or however you want to do it. You do it based on what's going on at the battlefield at the time. And then obviously if you're politicking with someone, you can work with them to kind of separate a pile that might benefit them, that might benefit you, whatever it might be. Liliana's ultimate, it's possible to do it, but that +1 enabling is so powerful. Next Planeswalker I want to talk about is Ren and Realmbreaker. Green 1 for a 4 loyalty legendary Planeswalker Ren. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Any 3 color commander, this is just going to be really valuable because sometimes you just, you have a commander that you built that leans more, it's 3 colors, and in this case it might lean towards more black and green. You just don't have a lot of green red mana. Then this is going to be a great way to make sure that your lands, your colorless lands, especially if you don't have something like a Chromatic Lantern, which you should be playing in this deck, then this is just another copy of Chromatic Lantern as a static. You can +1 up to 1 target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with vigilance, hexproof, and haste, and then it's still a land. It doesn't untap it, but it still allows it to be, an elemental creature, vigilance, hexproof, haste. And then -2, this -2 is why I'm primarily playing this. Mill 3 cards, so you mill 3 cards. You may put a permanent card from among the cards milled into your hand. So this is a great way to like mill 3 cards and then put like a land in your hand, and then the other ones are like the creatures and the Goyfs that you immediately get out with your Disa. Or it's like a permanent that maybe you want at like instant speed. You return a Mask Vandal to your hand, and you have a future card that we're going to talk about where you're able to discard at instant speed. Then that's going to be a great way to cheat some cards out, but also have this instant speed tech, kind of like a soft tutor, kind of some soft card draw, so you have access to it. And then it's -7, you get an emblem. You may play lands and cast permanent spells from your graveyard. So that's, just win more, right? Like you're going to be able to cast your other creatures that aren't Goyfs, the ones that died and were put in there while on the battlefield. You're going to be able to cast them again, play your lands from there. Just, infinite synergy, right? Like if you're really evil and you cast spells that allow you to play multiple lands a turn, like Dryad of the Elysian Grove, then honestly not a bad card in a 3-color commander deck. Play Dryad of the Elysian Grove in a deck that can play Valakut as well. You can play multiple lands out, play Strip Mine multiple times. Just be that player. Be the player that plays out multiple Strip Mines at the same time. But those are the Planeswalkers that I want to talk about. The last section for Disa the Restless is going to be straight value. These are the cards that, in my opinion, 100% auto includes. In my opinion, okay? This is how I would build this deck. But when I am looking to build this deck, these are the cards that I want immediately. Maskwood Nexus. 4 colorless for an artifact, or sorry, not 4 colorless, 4 generic. For an artifact, creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. There you go. This is the card that allows you to cheat everything out. Any creature that you have that isn't a Goyf, Maskwood Nexus turns it into a Goyf from your hand, from your from your library, anything that you mill over. Maskwood Nexus now allows you to cheat anything out. Play an Emrakul in there. The Emrakul hits the graveyard. It's a Goyf. Your commander can then bring it out onto the battlefield, and then you can shuffle everything back. If you're playing some type of mass self-mill strategy, then you can play these giant shuffle titans, cheat out Maskwood Nexus, play out Maskwood Nexus, and then all of a sudden when you're milling yourself and you get those giant titans out, you cheat them out on the battlefield. Obviously with something like Emrakul, you don't get the cast trigger. It's fine though. You have a 13-13 Annihilator. Come on, Maskwood Nexus, absolutely insane. And then you can 3-tap, create a 2/2 Changeling, a blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. Okay, more ways for you to have Goyfs out onto the battlefield, Goyf synergies, and just swing in. Imagine something like this, creating multiple Changelings out with like a Vanquisher's Banisher, a Vanquisher's Banner. I can't even speak English. A Vanquisher's Banner. Something like that. Maskwood Nexus is going to be really powerful. Next up is going to be Tortured Existence. I brought this up slightly in the beginning of the video. Pauper staple Tortured Existence, black for an enchantment that says, pay black, choose and discard a creature card, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, hold on. Okay, first of all, insane. I hope you're understanding that this is a free discard, not free. This is a very cheap discard outlet. Imagine playing black and discarding a card to then play that card out. Just pay 1 black to play any creature from your hand. Any creature from your hand. Imagine. And then imagine this with the sack outlet, right? Something like Phyrexian Altar. I believe it's Phyrexian Altar that you can sack and get 1 colored mana. I hope I got that one right. It might be the other one that I'm thinking of. One of them, 1 gives you 2 colorless mana, 1 gives you a colored mana. So just the one that gives you colored mana. Sack a creature, you get 1 black. Then you discard a card, put that discarded card onto the battlefield, and then you return the sack card to your hand. And then you do it over and over and over and over again. You get infinite ETBs. There you go. Got a little combo for you again with your commander out. Infinite ETBs. Get your sack outlet out. This is just a great way to take advantage and cheat cards out. It's 1 mana. It's 1 mana. Pauper Staple Tortured Existence. We need a reprint of this card. We need another copy of this card for Pauper Tortured Existence. Shout out to anyone that's this far in the video. I want you to comment Tortured Existence reprint when. You comment down below Tortured Existence reprint when, if you're this far into the video, because we need this card. Not that it's expensive, but we need more copies of this card. More kind of soft reprints, functional reprints of this card. Last card I want to talk about is Hermit Druid. As a combo focused player in Commander, I may not always be storming off, but I like my combos. I may not always go after synergies. I'm definitely looking towards combo. Hermit Druid, green and 1 for a 1/1. Creature Human Druid, green, tap, reveal cards on the top of your library until you reveal a basic land. Put that card into your hand, and then all other cards revealed this way are put into your graveyard. Okay, so the synergy with this, for those of you maybe newer into Commander or have not experienced this card, you play no basics in your deck. So you activate the Hermit Druid and you just mill everything. Your whole deck gets flipped into your graveyard. Now imagine, we're not playing blue, okay? So you don't get Thassa's Oracle, you don't get anything to do with like Laboratory Maniac, fine. But you could play shuffle effects. You could play the Emrakuls, you could play, all the other green shuffle effects, you could play Endurances, whatever it might be. But now imagine that with the Maskwood Nexus out. This essentially says, with your commander out, pay a green, tap it, and play every single creature in your deck, put it onto the battlefield with the Maskwood Nexus house. Now, without the Maskwood Nexus, play like 2/3 of the creatures in your deck out for free for 1 green. Come on, this has to be one of the easiest includes in this deck. Right? Like, even if you're playing basics, this is just so much great value. Just play like 5 basics. Out of 100, you're milling like a fair amount of cards. Mill, cheat out, next turn, untap, mill, cheat out. Like, there's so many ways to take advantage of a card like this. And Disa, again, just one of the most unique build arounds in this color. I would really be surprised if this isn't one of the top 10 commanders in this color. I mean, obviously in Jund you just have stuff like Prosh already, and like you have really powerful commanders that exist already, but like just Goyf Tribal, I think by the sheer amount of people that are going to be building this deck, I think it's just really powerful. Disa just gonna go down as one of the best commanders out there, especially in the Jund colors. One of the most unique commanders to ever come out, and I highly recommend y'all be building this right now. So again, enjoy the upgrades, enjoy the deck list, and I really hope you get a chance to Jund them out.